Welcome to the assembly video of the DW 600mm wing. First thing we're going to do is we're going to try and join the two halves together. Now I'm going to be using a two-part epoxy. My favourite thing to be mixing two-part epoxy with is all the bits and pieces from leftover propellers. I think they work absolutely fantastic. Don't forget to put something down on your bench so it doesn't get damaged, and I'm also putting a little piece of paper under there, so just in case. So if you've never worked with two-part epoxy before, it's quite easy. Basically it's equal parts of both. Now the two-part epoxy that I'm using is a fast cure, so you've got about 5 minutes of work time. Mix it up really good. It will start to go cloudy, and when everything looks cloudy, it means you're good to go. If you've got some parts where it's a little bit clear, that's probably not an indication it's been mixed very well. Okay, now we're pretty well good to go. So it doesn't take a lot of this to really get this to stick, so butter that on there nicely. Okay, excess off that side. Good. Take this one, do the same thing, just to make sure we've got more than enough we need. Okay. 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 So you've probably noticed by now I have an elaborate set of house bricks set up here, and that's to put tension on the wing so it sets nicely. So one on each side, and then one on the front to push the front in. Now at this stage, just make sure that you've got everything nice and flat, everything's lined up, you're pretty good to go. At this stage, while we've still got a little bit of this going, we will put it on the carbon fibre spar. I already start to feel the epoxy is starting to thicken up a little bit, so it's starting to set already. Yeah, you're going to get a little bit on your hands, there's nothing you can really do about that. Okay, let's now push this into its little hidey hole. Yep, perfectly aligned. Smear off any excess. Take a little bit of excess and just wipe it over the join just to seam seal that. Okay, lift that center section up just a little bit. Okay, I think we're almost to the point where this is starting to set already. Okay. Alright, so we'll leave that for around about 5 minutes to set up. We'll come back and we'll go from there. Okay, about 10 minutes has passed. I have basically moved the bricks out of the way. The epoxy is still tacky to touch, but it's basically held the whole thing in shape. So what we might do is we might put this off to the side for a little bit, and then we can talk a little bit about the power system that I've chosen. You might notice at this stage that I haven't glued the end plates on at the moment. You guys might want to go ahead and put them on now. I find when I'm working on wings, you're flipping motor all the time, chances are you're going to catch the end plates or something, and it's annoying and you might damage them. So it's probably the very last thing I'll do is just glue the end plates on. It won't take too long. So alright, let's move this off to the side. Okay, I was in two minds about which way to go for a power system, whether I want something that's big, heavy, power hungry, or something that's crazy small. So I do have quite a few options here. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at what I'm going to be using first. Okay, so what I've decided to do is go for super crazy mega light. So what we have here is a BR1306 Racer Star quadcopter motor. Super light. Basically this is going to spin maybe a 4-inch prop, maybe a 5 if I'm lucky on 3 cell. We'll see how we go, but really light. Running a 360 milliamp battery, 3-cell, so again keeping the setup super lightweight. Running a couple of 2.5 gram servos with a micro DSM2 receiver, and probably a little bit overkill, but is a little 10 amp ESC that I've got lying around. The good thing about that is if I do change the power system out later, I won't have to change the ESC. That's option number one. My other thought was to go for something like this, something like a 1806, which I know full well is going to spin a really deep 5-inch, or a even quite deep. As you can see, this is a 6-inch prop on here, and I've had this on the plane in the past, and that doesn't do too badly. The idea with going to that is obviously then you're probably going to need to get a much heavier battery system. You're probably going to have to step up to even 850s on a 3-cell. The other thing that also then allows me to do is go a little bit heavier on the controls. Allows me to step up to, say for instance, a 3.6 or a 4 gram servo. The other thing that would be really nice on a plane this small, especially on windy days, is the option of being able to put a gyro in there. So by going this way, it's going to add sort of 20 odd grams to the weight of the craft. So depending on how the lightweight setup flies, I'm going to start with a lightweight setup, then I'm going to move on to the heavier setup if I find that it hasn't quite got enough punch, or it's just a little bit boring to fly.